Welcome to a new episode of Getting to the Truth in This Art on MTR Podcast. I'm your host, Rob Lee, and today my guest is Italo Duarte De Dea. Am I good?
Hey guys, what's up? What's up? Thanks for having me here. Just love.
Yeah, thank you for coming through. This is great. I noticed that you sir, you've been getting a fair amount of attention for your work. So I wanted to have you on. And first off, I want to say I dig what you're doing. I like your stuff. I was going through your website a little bit earlier, and I was like, all right. See what we got here.
Yeah. It's a start. It's a start. You know, for me at least. Like you're saying, like I got this past week. I have a show during art in August through BOPA, and one of actually the first show that I had was a solo show here in Baltimore.
Yeah.
And that's what I think it was like. It feels good. It feels good to be part and to share, you know, my perspective from Brazil. So I'm excited for what's coming.
So that's good. I mean, you already hit one of them because we're gonna pick it up. It's like, all right, you're from Brazil, got you. Number one down. So let's take a little bit of a step back. I don't like to tell and describe what the artist does. I like to let the artist do that. So could you describe your work for us?
Okay, so I do mostly ink drawings, and I see them as a historical documentation of memories. I would say that way, and it's purely observational drawings. I would regarding technique, but for me, it's important that because of a meditative process of observing like this image that I have been cataloging and researching to create narratives when they are together in the installation of drawings.
Okay.
Yes, I would say that. Yeah, that would define my work. You know, give a vision out to people of how it looks. It's like a grid of drawings, multiple drawings that goes between close-ups of moments, ordinary moments in your daily life. It can be urban space or human figures like hands, and combined with other drawings describing or depicting landscapes or actual figures' faces. So it's a range of like how I capture emotion through ordinary like experiences through like is a close up here of you walking on the sidewalk and then a landscape of it, and that's how I feel like I like to capture the culture of the place, and that's what I did in Brazil. That's how I have been doing in Brazil, and then coming to studio in Baltimore and putting together these images, deciding which one to paint, and decides which one goes well together.
Yeah.
So that's hopefully a good description of it.
No. So you're capturing life as you see it.
Yes. And they're monochromatic. So mostly they're like a sepia drawing or Indian ink drawing that's black and white. Yeah.
Yeah. Monochromatic works.
Yeah.
So in it, you've done work on. So what mediums do you your work on, and which do you prefer? What are the advantages of one versus the other?
So I have been working on paper and then mounting them on wood to create like a physicality to the piece instead of just being a paper that's framed.
Sure.
I like to leave that exposed, so that's leave the paper exposed, so there's a quality of the texture of the paper that for me is interesting. It creates that relationship, that physical relationship with memory or with something that's going to be ephemeral, because ink drawings will fade with time, mostly water-based ones. And the other surface I have been working with is it's ink drawing on wood panels, and would absorb water quickly, and not as quick as paper, but it does absorb water really well. So it gives you some room to work with, like a load brush of ink. So both surfaces are interesting to me because of the quality of the physicality of it.
And they're kind of different. Like to your point, like I think if you have like wood in your hand, it's like, all right, this has some weight to it. This has some degree of, I guess, like longevity. Whereas with paper, it has both have their quote unquote disadvantages, I suppose, that, oh, well, this can be destroyed. However, but I think like paper has a little bit more fragility to it, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Like our memories, right? Let's say our memories are all like so you think you remember something, but mostly you remember like, I don't know, 50% of it, and then you create the rest of it. We all do that. So there is that fragility that can be connected to it. Yeah. And one of the negative points of wood though is just storing it. Like I have been working on larger wood panels, so you can roll it or, put it in a portfolio.
Yeah.
So it's a little more tricky storing it, but yeah, that's not a big deal.
It's like, I want to show you my whole portfolio and it's just like a stack of wood. It's like,
exactly. Come here. Let's move all these panels with me. Come ready to do some workout and see my work.
Here's this tree I brought with me. This is my earlier work.
Right. Yeah, and it's funny because when I got here, I was actually doing work with branches of wood. So I would get like a fallen branch of wood, and they were like all cut it already right on the floor, or on the woods, and then I would create like a kind of language with it. I would mount them as a puzzle. So I was actually, and once my friend helped me to move from one studio to another, and he was like, "Man, what are you doing for all these logs in here?" Like, I was like, "Yeah," and I would burn them. It would be a mess, but it was worth it.
I could dig it. Oh yeah. So we talked a little bit before I put the hit the record button. So you relocated here from Brazil back in 2014, right?
Yep.
So
2014.
So I guess, and we'll get back to some artist questions, but I'll be remiss if I don't mention some of the Baltimore stuff. So why Baltimore? Why did you come from just lovely South America where everything is great to Baltimore where like, what was your reasoning for coming to Baltimore?
See, that's already, I don't know if everything is great down there, like everywhere there's a good and the bad point, but, I came to Baltimore mostly, I did not know much about Baltimore, and I actually came to this area because I started my English course at Towson University.
Sure.
I had an uncle of my aunt's family, used to live in Owens Mills.
Okay.
And, and I was in Brazil. I was a full-time web designer and applications designer. And I want to change my career because I love the design job and I still do that as a side job, but then the freedom of being an artisan, that personal exploration for me is way much more meaningful, than exploration as a designer. What's still meaningful, but not as much for me. I think as a complement, both complement each other in my life right now.
Sure.
But then I was like, I need to learn some English. I want to do some like a course in art outside of Brazil or in Brazil, but English was always such a requirement, mostly as a designer too. And I was like, let me see where I can, and I tried to learn English before in Brazil, but if you don't have that daily necessity, for me at least, I couldn't learn. I'm not, that linguistic, let's say. But and then my aunt said like, "Oh, look, there's this course here. This university is academic, so you might learn even faster." Because my thing was time and money. So I was in Brazil, like, okay, let me sell everything I have here. And then I had money for like 6 months to here and do like 4 months of English. And man, I came here, I was level 1. It was hard. And I actually, to continue studying English, I had to ask for a job like at the English Language Center, to do some invitations as a designer. And they were like, they digged it. And they were like, okay, do a logo. And then we give you a full scholarship to keep studying English. And then after I finished 2 years of English, they like, hey, if you want, do your master's here. We could give you a graduate assistantship. And I'm like, I'm already here. Why not? So, and the master, like the MFA program at Towson University really suited my need because it's a longer program, but because I didn't have the background in arts, it was really helpful for me to get the basics, the fundamentals, art history. I never had studied any of that.
Right.
I was always self-taught. So, and that's how it happened, man. And I'm really happy I got to Baltimore because to be quite honest, Baltimore is a city that don't let you bullshit, and if I can say this kind of word here, but
it's factual. You can say it.
Yeah, no, because I think everybody in Baltimore is very, I'm not saying everybody, but there is a feeling about the city that's like, you gotta be real no matter what. If not real, people get that, like that, if not real, people feel it, and then things don't go as you want, or you don't create real connections, right? Real connections. But fortunately, like it took me, it was, my cultural shock was after a year here. The first year I was like, yeah, I can adapt. It's easy. Everything is new. And then after a year, I was like, man, that's so different. I'm changed so much. I don't know who I am no more. So there's a whole refining yourself because you're in different contexts. People, value different things, and mostly different countries. Even though Brazil is very Americanized, the culture is very different. There's different. There are a lot of similar but different problems as well.
I could dig it. Yeah, I mean, so it's like you came up here and you've been up here. Like, you're recognizing that one of the things that people talk about often, that Baltimore has this authenticity here that, like you said, it's not about the bullshit. And people come here because there's just something to hear. You have different districts that have different things that are going on. Like, one of my favorite areas is Station North. We used to record this podcast there every week before COVID hit. So in it, you've been here for the last 6 years. What is your favorite neighborhood in Baltimore? What is your favorite area in Baltimore?
I love the areas that I go the most is Charles Village. But now I do love where I live. That's Chinquapin. That's by Belvedere Square.
Yeah, my old neighborhood.
Yeah, there are three basketball courts around me. I can just walk to them, and there's nature. There's there's that peacefulness of actual, neighbor, and everybody know each other. Some of my roommates oh, my neighbors are two no's. I'm like, yeah, I like, man, because we taking care of each other. At least we know each other. Yeah. Well, the other day I needed a jump in my car, and from nowhere, out of a window came hey, do you need a jump? And I'm like, see, that's what I'm talking about. Everybody's watching everybody. When you need, they will reach.
Oh yeah, people look out. It's like, hey man, appreciate you.
Yeah, but I do enjoy a lot the outside areas too. At Loch Raven Reservoir I think it's beautiful, or all the parks, Jordan Hill Park or Patterson Park, Montebello. These are the places that I go the most. That I go there all the time to just look the horizon and feel and miss home.
Yeah, you're getting something from the city, because too often people who come here, they have, I think, people who were born here and who've been here for forever, they have a different perspective on it. This is the way that they see Baltimore. Than people who are transplants or what have you, that move in and choose to make this their home. They see Baltimore in a very specific way, and it's a different way. And I tend to really jive with the people who see it in that kind of way. I like this area, I like that area, I check this out. And it's way too often that when someone is you should visit Baltimore, they only mention one place. They'll mention the Inner Harbor, maybe around the ballparks, and it's not really Baltimore to me.
Yeah, but that's, I think, is it's general too. You go to so many cities and we have such a stereotype of the city, or a assumption, a general idea of what it is. And there's always something else to, even New York. You go to New York and you go to Manhattan, and then you're oh, that's New York. And then you go to actual New York around, the neighbors around it, and you're oh, it does feel like a city then, that's, yeah. But yeah, Baltimore is beautiful, man. And I love Highlandtown, for example. It's a high up the area. You see, there's some streets there. You can see the whole harbor from way, out up there. And I think it's funny because I have less assumptions about Baltimore than other Americans, bad connotation to it than other Americans. I come from even counties around Maryland or other states.
Yeah. I mean, there's times where I'll link with people and we'll travel. I'll have friends will travel, and I'm from here. I've been here forever. And I'll have friends that are yeah, I'm from Owings Mills. I was okay, cool. And we'll go travel and so on. And they make this point, Baltimore is sketchy, Baltimore is dangerous. But when we're out in public, because Baltimore has culture and it has these cool things here, we'll tell people that we're traveling with, that we'll talk to, yeah, where you guys from? Oh, I'm from Baltimore. It's no, you're not. You were from there a minute ago.
Right? Imagine that. Damn, that's crazy. But it's true, man.
So, let's see. So two questions here. Back to the art of it, and I'm gonna have some Baltimore questions. You've been here long enough to answer the Baltimore questions.
Let's see. I was listening to other podcasts and I saw you asking those questions and names, and I'm like, oh my god, here we go.
Okay.
No, just because names are complicated to me. It's so many, and here, it's so many different names to memorize. But here we go.
I'll make sure you get it, man.
You got my back too.
Yeah, absolutely. So. Back to your art a bit. What are your messages in your art? You touched on it a bit, but when someone asks you, like, can you describe like your key message in your art? What would you tell them?
I think it's not about I think it's not about like a key message to my art. It's about a key rhythm of exploration. It's just a form for me. It's just a form of expressing my understanding of this body of work that I have been working on this series, these ideas of space, of culture, of social space, and culture and history. It's very, it's generic like that, but because each combination of drawings, they go to a specific niche with different questions. So, for example, back in Brazil, there's a series of work that I have now that it questions a lot, like the collapse of settlers, of culture, European culture,
sure,
and indigenous culture from the city where I was born, and why the exploration? Because I'm son of immigrants. From Italy, like a fifth generation. I don't know, like my grandparents were born in Brazil, but their parents were like Italian.
Gotcha.
So, and there's a big mix of Portugals and also Netherlands, and also in Brazil is a huge mix of racial mix. Like it's insane. But for me, it's because of that collapse of like, okay, my whole family is from South, where immigrants are more predominantly. But they traveled the extreme north, the last city of north of Brazil, where the population is 70% indigenous. And then I was born in this culture, where around me, the food was very influenced by indigenous culture. But my family still immigrants. So it's like, there's no right answer or right message on that issue, but there's a whole exploration for me. For me, it's like that uncertainty, the necessity of uncertainty, of finding questions and finding uncertainties, because I believe the uncertainties are the most very important as well as certainties. Because if you're just certain, you're authoritarian, then you in a matter of like, you will never believe the other person is right, or there are different perspectives about the same content. Yeah. So for me, it's about exploration. The main message of my artwork is like that exploration, that the investigation of a topic in my life, in my culture, socially or culturally. There's some stuff that politically too. Everything's involved, right?
Yeah. Like one of the things I tried, and I think there's a lot of value in, and thank you for sharing it, by the way. I think there's a lot of value in when people are allowed to have that discourse and allowed to put something out there, get the response from it, whether it be something you agree with, whether it be something you don't agree with, but at least be able to pick at it and dig through it. And I think a lot of times we try not to do that now for various reasons, that it's too challenging, that it's something cancelable or whatever. But
I was just about to say that. Yeah.
But it's a thing where I think when you don't allow it, I prefer, because I do a podcast that's very different from this. And, I like to be provocative, but I also like to engage in a conversation. I like to kind of start the conversation, right? And I think just the place we're at now, where we just, if I don't agree with it, or this isn't the right, quote unquote, the approved thing, let's cut it. Let's not talk about it further. And it prevents it from being further explored. It prevents that discourse. It prevents that further understanding. Because just because it might feel good and it might seem good and it's tolerable for most people doesn't mean it's right. Mm-hmm. So that's my observation on that. So I definitely get what you're describing.
Yeah, and as an artist, like I think that's the most important that's like the most important responsibility we have because of the freedom of content we can express. Do you understand? We can talk about anything in a way, right? As an artist. So having the responsibility to touch in these topics and really, exactly I have been battling with myself for like 2 years now in a series of work, because am I allowed to draw indigenous people? Am I allowed to think about the culture as my culture? So that's why when I come with the questions and not with the answers, because there are days and moments in my heart that I'm like, I can't identify and nobody can say no, because that's how I identify. That's how I grew up, like that's where the face around me, that's where like how I was talking. But there are moments I'm like, okay, I understand that here, I should step back, so it's like, to find one. I think it's so important to actually talk. When I talk about politics in Brazil, mostly about Brazil, that's really going really bad now. And I have friends with very different opinions than mine. And I'm like, always so happy to talk to them, because even though we spend like 2 hours sending audio message and discussing, but that's what it gotta exist, this conversation, because it's the most important thing, canceling it's like there's a politician that I follow in Brazil, and he says like, if there is racism, if there is like problems, we can't just oppress them and think that they're gone. Let them be spoken so we can change their minds. We can make a difference, or be aware that exists as well. Do you understand? There's like a importance to these things be talked about for sure. Any country, any culture.
Yeah, it's things on both sides that at least need to be brought to the table and discussed, and that's a very timely message, especially here with the climate here. And you've been in Baltimore to know, long enough to know some of the stuff that in the last few years, that what we're seeing now with some of the racism and some of the different things that have happened when it comes to people that look like me, it's a thing, and then people will find a way to shy away from it because it's the elephant in the room, and it's been that case for quite some time.
Yeah, but it's good that we are all talking about that. And even like I have been following like black artists too, talking about that in lives on Instagram, and there are extreme points on both sides, I think too. Some people I heard someone saying like, for example, that he was seeing a lot of white people in the protests, and that didn't feel true to him because he was afraid in the future, the white people would claim like, we help black people to end the racism and in that, you like, you want the black people to do it for themselves. But I'm like, at the same time, like, if there is this kind of thinking in the future that racism still exists, then do you understand?
Yeah.
Maybe, so hopefully, and that's a nuance too, like that. Is it good then having that many white people in the protests or not? Should I go or not? So there is, and I believe we need to work together to end if you want. It requires a lot of like openness from black people to let that happen. Mm-hmm. I feel, but I think it's necessary. Everybody be on the same, be on the boat to finish it.
Yeah, it's. One of the things, and we'll move on to one last question and then get to some Baltimore questions and then some shameless plug time for you. Mm-hmm. But I think whenever I look at something like that, and people, I like to go with it's this and this. All of these things are true. You know what I mean? Like, mm-hmm. All right. This does happen. Some people will try to reclaim and want to stake a claim to who's responsible for a cause or movement or whatever, because there's a fair amount of a claim attached to it. But then on the other side of it, it's like kind of not wanting those people there. Does that help end anything? To me, it's just a different distraction. It's just like, yeah, people are complaining about different, like, identities that are attached to it. Like, there are a lot of people who I've heard complaining about trans lives. There's a lot of people I've heard about complaining about, gay lives and all of that different stuff, that it's still under that whole umbrella. Like, you can't be about black lives and then exclude certain black lives. It doesn't work that way. And those are the same people who are making those arguments, who want to stake the claim to, I'm right, I'm on this right side of it. Why are these people involved? It's like, you're screwing up what the ultimate message is.
Right. Yeah. And yeah, it's good to hear that too. You know, like it's good to learn about that too, but it's true.
So, let's see.
Baltimore questions now.
Well, yeah, Baltimore questions. Yeah, that's what you're looking for. Okay, Baltimore questions.
Right.
It's 3 Baltimore questions.
Whew. Let's see.
Number 1, favorite Snowball.
Favorite Snowball? That's the thing. I'm not big on it. You know, I have never tried it. You know, the sidewalks ones. Is Rita's considered a Snowball?
Give me your Rita's flavor. Give me your Rita's flavor then. Okay,
mango and strawberry, man. That's what I go for.
Okay.
It's very common, you know, but when I got it, that's the thing. I'm big in sweets. Like I'm a Taurus, so I love like eating sweets, cakes, chocolate cakes, and you know, but the Snowball is, and I saw you asking that on the other podcast. I'm like, I don't have an answer. And I could prepare one, but I'm like,
you could have came with a fake one.
I come with an honest one.
I appreciate the honesty. And I'll give you mine since we'll trade. We'll exchange here. As far as Rita's, right? And I'll even give you my Snowball, because I think you've probably heard it, but Rita's is probably that lemonade, the Alex Lemon. That is a fire,
it's good.
Yeah, it's really good. And my Snowball is obviously some Baltimorean, it's egg custard. I mean, that's one thing that
what's the flavor again?
Egg custard.
Egg custard?
Yeah.
See, I don't have no idea even which color that is.
Look,
I need to go and try one, right?
I'm going to make sure you get one. That's my goal before the end of the summer, to make sure you get an egg custard. Okay.
I need to do that. That's true. So I can say like, okay, I really lived Baltimore. You know,
so like we have the Boy Scouts here. So one of the things that they have to do is get the different badges. That is your Baltimore badge. It's like you've hit that achievement.
There you go.
Get a Snowball pin.
Right.
Let's see. I'm going to go food. I got to go food. Let's see. I can go crab cakes. Or do I want to go chicken? Which one? I'll give you this, since you've only been here a few years, so I don't want to, drag you too hard through it.
No, okay, man, there's a place. It's not like a fence place at all, but I just joke a lot with my friends because we eat there all the time, and it's just like Stoko's, eating chicken at Stoko's.
That is very specific. I spent so many days there.
Man, and we say always stoked for life. You know, like we finish always like, I have a group of friends, we have been doing this pop-up shows, right, on Sunday.
Yeah.
And every time like we finish Sunday, it's like, should we go to Stoko's today, go celebrate? You know how arts life is, man.
Stoko's. Oh my God.
Yeah. But when, there's some good restaurants that, Clavel and stuff like that everybody knows about.
Clavel's nice.
It's really good. It's really good. Yeah.
So when it comes to the wings, are you a flats or drums guy?
Drums guy.
Okay. Me and you on the same page, sir. Me and you on the same page. You get it. I used to, so back in the day, I worked for the Orioles event staff. So I worked at the baseball stadium for like throughout undergrad. And the games were in late. So I'm getting home at almost 11 o'clock. What would I do? I would go to Stucco's and get a personal pan pizza and some fries. That was me eating at like midnight every night. And I was just like, this is unhealthy, but this is
delicious. Yeah, no, for sure. I finished my master at Towson University, and there's a Stoko's right next to Lucky Raven Boulevard.
Yeah.
It's just like you call them. It's hard fry, put that spicy.
You've been here for a while. You've been here ready to go. The wild hard fry.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Last question. Let's see.
Some Old Bay tea on the fries.
Oh, hell yeah. Last question. You already said Obey, so I can't go that route.
I appreciate it. You've been nice. You're really thinking hard to like it. Let me and not put the Brazilian in the bad situation right now.
I can't do that. So I guess the last question would be, it's still going to be in the food vein, but, cause you said you're a sweets guy, but you're not, do you do the salty stuff?
Yeah, man.
You get it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Utz or Lay's potato chips?
Hold on. What's the question again? How is it?
Utz or Lay's potato chips? Which one do you prefer?
See, I don't know, and I don't know what's the difference.
Utz would be that the regular Utz is a white and red bag, and the regular Lay's is the color of your shirt, sir.
Man.
Very regional question.
I need to learn more about that one. I'm gonna go with the yellow one then.
Okay, you've picked.
If I gotta pick
you
one,
picked poorly, sir. You picked poorly.
I did. Okay, is it not a spice one or what?
Utz is the local one. Utz is the local flavor. That's I believe Utz is a Pennsylvania brand, but we've taken the logo from it, and that became a piece of the Baltimore marketing here, the local marketing. And it's UTZ.
I see.
Yeah.
I see now what you. Man. I need to try both of them. I don't think I have ever tried it. See, I'm not into chips. Yeah, I have been eating healthy, man. What can I do?
Oh man. I mean, I could have thrown cookies out there, but I decided not to because, that would be too easy for you because you have the sweet tooth and.
Right. I would, yeah. Cookies are good. I like the one with almond in it. Yeah. Like just like some nuts, into it and like chocolate. Yeah.
Get the, it's a really good, I know that, what is it, Atwater's. They changed it recently, but I think they may have gone back to the original formula. They had a, chocolate chip walnut cookie. It's a fire.
Okay.
It's a fire cookie.
See? Yeah, I'm sure I'm about to go out and buy one now.
So, all right. Now it's time for some shameless plug and then I'll give you back the rest of your day, sir. This has been great.
Sounds good.
So, do you have anything that's coming up now? This may or may not be posted like soon. It may be posted in a few weeks, but, what is something you want people to check out? Maybe your social media or something you have coming up maybe in a bit.
Oh, so we are doing like this August in August through BOPA, and who is organizing that, plus BOPA is Hot Sauce, is in collaborative, art collaborative. Then it's me, James Masakoi, Kayla Fryer, and Alex Yao. Yeah. These are my good friends. This is our first project together. And we have some things coming up and, you can keep it up just with the Instagram, following up our Instagram. Instagram is Southgram. Let me get it right here. It's South_gram, _ art. So, and and just shout out to my friends, man. We're doing a good job. There's other friends too that we have been working with. But Southgram is the one to shout out right now, and everybody follow up. Come to the pop-up, if they can.
Yeah.
It's the last 2 weekends now. This Sunday and the next Sunday, 31st of August is the last one. This weekend is Ambrose, the artist that we're showing up. She's great. And, is 1 to 3 across from the Charles Theater. I just, it's just loving his art in person, man. It's so nice to see like people come in and saying like, man, I miss looking art in person and, chat with everybody. And it's also like artists putting together, opportunities for other artists. So I think that's what's really relevant about this project. We're not just waiting around, gotta go do things.
That's great. So That's it. I'm going to do my sign off and then I'll give you back the rest of your day, man. This has been great. Thanks a lot. So I'm Rob Lee for Italo.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. See, that's the way you say it. Italo! Thank you so much for the opportunity, man, for sure.
Oh, no, totally, man. This has been Getting to the Truth in This Art. And there's art in and around Baltimore. You just have to look for it.